everyone, and welcome to this Offshoring webinar with my good friend Paul Barnes of MAP and Nikolai Naylor of Naylor Accountancy and Intelligent Outsourcing. So for those who don't know, my name is James Ashford. I'm the founder of GoProposal along with Paul, and I'm also the director of MAP as well. And what we do with GoProposal is we help our clients to price their services more consistently, more profitably, so that they can ultimately sell their services more confidently, give more value to their clients and bring new clients in as well, which sounds great. However, it causes a problem. The problem it causes is that it's all right selling more services and giving more value, but at some point you've got to deliver that value as well. And this is kind of where the rubber hits the road. So we need the correct systems and processes in place, but we also need the right people to deliver this. And if your firm is anything like our firm, the biggest challenge we all face is how do we find the right people to work in our firm? How do we find people with the right skill set that can deliver the services to the correct standard, are also a good culture fit, and who can work with our team as well? And so one of the things that we firmly believe in is in the way that we are scaling our team is with an offshoring model as well. So our team here in the MAP office can, develop the relationship and have those one-to-one conversations. We've also got that supporting mechanism via the offshoring team, and that is how we're looking to scale and grow our business, and it's how Nikolai grows his as well. So we're very fortunate to have these two people here today to talk you through what the offshore model looks like, how to do it, when to do it, what the challenges with it, and how to make it a real success in your firm. So I will hand you over to these two guys and look forward to hearing it.
Thanks, James.
Cheers,
James.
guys.
So hello, everybody. Welcome. I'm just going to share my presentation with you. There we go. So as James said, for those of you who don't know me, my name's Paul Barnes, and I run an accountancy firm based in Manchester called MAP. We are effectively an outsourced finance function specifically for digital agencies. We're a very niche firm. We've got about 140 clients, and we've got about 23 staff, depending on what day you're asking. Within those 23 staff are 2 employees of ours that are based in Subic in the Philippines as part of our arrangement with Intelligent Outsourcing, who provided us 2 fantastic members of staff there who are genuinely part of our team. So we are just approaching our 6-year anniversary of running MAP. Still just focused on agencies, predominantly zero-based, and we use the zero ecosystem intensively. Got a very young team, use a lot of apprentices, and we service the UK effectively. So I'd say about 90% of our clients are in and around Manchester, and then we have about 10% further afield around the UK, but we're starting to work with more and more businesses around the UK. I also, 3 years ago, founded GoProposal with James on the back of as much as he would like to take the credit, I had kind of worked out the services and pricing, but it was in like an ugly spreadsheet that I spent ages putting together, and I used to PDF this. So I always sat and transparently produced an accountancy package for a client in this spreadsheet face-to-face with them, but then I would have to PDF it afterwards and send it up to like Adobe Echo sign for them to digitally sign. And James said, great thinking, but it could just look a lot better. And a few months later, GoProposal was formed in lightning speed, like most things that James does. And then we launched it to the accounting industry at the start of 2017. And now we're fortunate to be working with about 750 accounting firms in 14 different countries. So I'm here today because within our GoProposal Facebook community, which all of the GoProposal members are a part of, there's been a lot of the conversations. We look at what the key topics that are coming up are. One of the key things that keeps coming up is around offshoring and outsourcing and how to do that. So that's what we're going to be talking about today, not as the finished article or the experts. We're about 12 months into our journey, so further than some of you, but not as far as others. But Nikolai is also here because he's got far more experience in this field than me. So I'll bring some of the practical experience about how we've gone on that journey at MAP. And Nikolai's going to share some of his stories as well. So do you want to just welcome us?
Sure. Thank you. Thanks. Hi, I'm Nikolai Naylor. I run Naylor Accountancy Services, which I started in 2012. And then obviously that's just like normal accountancy practice. We use all the technology. We use Xero as well and GoProposal, plus receipt backs and all the other stuff. And then what we did is we created intelligent outsourcing. And we call it IO a lot just because of the offshoring and outsourcing, because I know you've had it in the GoProposal group, you're sort of saying, oh, that you change the name. So we do use IO a lot, but it's intelligent outsourcing. Offshoring is a part of outsourcing, but that's why we kept that name. So the reason why we set that up was because everyone was talking about outsourcing. I didn't want to do outsourcing. I wanted to be in control of everybody and give them what we use and everything. So, and that's why we created intelligent outsourcing. We started off just with Christine. So if any of you are using intelligent outsourcing, I know you know Christine. They probably know Christine. She now runs it over there with the rest of the guys. And then we just started from there. And I just started using that for growing Naylor Accountancy and being able to do the compliance out there, and even talking to the guys now everywhere. But we also used it for friends, and now we've been rolling it out to other clients. Basically, I mean, our niche is the fact that we use UK accountants. We are accountants ourselves, so we understand what is required in the offshoring side.
And you were saying when we were speaking over lunch about having, so often when I speak to Nikolai, it's Naylor's is what you're absolutely passionate about. Like, you've got this incredible business over the other side of the world that must require a lot of mental energy, a lot of thinking, but actually your heart is still with the accountancy firm as well, and you're focused on that accountancy firm being the very best that it can be. And part of that jigsaw was having staff members offshore that could work on behalf of Naylor's. And you were explaining that basically your whole team's over there, isn't it, in terms of client delivery?
Yeah. So that's true. So I mean, I want to grow both. And I can see the way I see it working is that with Naylor Accountancy, we learn more on how to operate the offshoring, and we can actually put part of that on our clients. We're also learning it from our clients, like you, like Paul Meads, from Meads Group, everybody. You know, there's loads of things that we're learning as well. But then we can help everyone. So what we have in the UK is there's myself, who I sort of try not to do too much.
I'm going to say anything then.
Well, no, unfortunately, I have to, more than I want. But then I'm doing IO and Naylor Accountancy. Then we've got Steve, my practice manager, who's been a godsend. Just so you, I mean, I was telling Paul earlier, it took me about a year to get this practice manager in place, and he's been really good. I mean, there's still things we need to train up on and everything that we want. But it means that we can actually develop Naylor Accountancy. Plus, it means I can concentrate on IO more as well, and we can develop both alongside. And then we also have Dee. So there's only 3 of us in the UK, but Dee.Smith, if any of you are interested ever speaking to about IO, you'll be dealing with them, and some of you guys might be. So Dee is half Filipino, half American, and works in.
So management effectively is in the UK, but your operational team who do the work are all in the Philippines.
So what we do is we have this for Naylor Accountancy. We have the compliance, so all year-end accounts, bookkeeping. We do payroll. Self-assessment, I've just moved out because I don't really ever want to see it in the UK anymore, because I had to sort of get involved in that. We do have Steve, he will be doing the more difficult parts and managing that. And then we do VAT. And what we have is the guys out there contacting via email and sometimes phoning the guys, our clients, basically.
Yeah, so just to be clear, your staff in the Philippines are directly speaking to your clients in the UK?
Yes, yeah. They do, and they'll actually, clients will actually ring our office requesting to speak to somebody out there. So we have to then take the call and then forward it out to the Philippines to them. This is on the phone. So we have VoIP phones. So. Yeah.
And just tell us, Nikolai, how did you end up there? So I get a feeling that there's some horror stories, some pains in terms of trying to build a UK team, or you've only been going 5. No, you've been going 7.
2012 we started.
7 years.
Yeah.
Is it that you attempted to build a UK team and thought that's hard work, I'm going to build an offshore, or was it always offshore from day one?
It was. I started wanting to just use sort of mums who are accountants, so that was how I thought of it. So they could do the compliance and just do it working from home. And then I watched a webinar about the way forward for accountancy, and it was actually you, Rudy Jensen, at the time, but it was all about outsourcing everything. And I thought I didn't want to outsource because I'd had no control. So I wanted to have control. So that night I just thought, and I was working with Dee at home, just at my home office, and there was someone else there as well at the time. And I just said, well, could we set one out in the Philippines? Because she's half Filipino and she has a niece who was out there. And we just started from there. I mean, it's a long process setting anything up out there, but it was, so that's how we started. So we started just with the bookkeeping. And I know you started with management accounting and then gone to the year-end accounts. And I know other guys have started with everything at once. But that's how we started, and started building blocks on top of it.
Okay, brilliant. I think that's the ultimate testament, is the fact that you as an accounting firm owner have decided to build your team out there, which is great. So there's going to be a lot of value you can bring today from that perspective, as well as IL specifically. So we've picked up the key questions that keep coming up in regards to this topic of outsourcing and offshoring. And one of the first ones is, when is the right time? So when is the time that you know that you should be considering this within your accounts firm? Is it a certain time in a journey in terms of just timeframes or size of team? And what I found is that I think often when you talk about two things, actually, so we've really systemized our business and put a lot of automation in place, as some of you will know. And often when I speak to people, I get frustrated and say, oh, I bet you've done that so you can scale quick and it's not as reliant on humans. It's like, absolutely not. I understand that automation can help you to scale less requirement on humans, but we want our clients to require the humans more and more and more. But it's actually building the platform so the things that humans don't need to do. If you can get systems and technology to do as much of that heavy lifting as possible, then it requires your great people who've got great relationship skills to spend more time speaking to the clients, advising clients, and genuinely helping to make an impact for your clients' businesses. So systemizing for me was not to reduce the human element, it was to enhance it to the highest possible level. And I feel the same way about offshoring and outsourcing, that I'm sure many of you will resonate with this, and you will, Nikolai, wait, you're in meeting, maybe back-to-back meetings during the day, and they feel great, you're having a real valued person who's in the room, in the back of your head you're thinking, I've got those 3 tax returns that need to get done by the end of the day, or I've got those year-end accounts and it's 4 hours of work, and here I am sat in a meeting, I need to get out, and it's really stressful. So for me, it was about being able to build a core team of genuinely client-centric relationship people within the office that could not hesitate to give value to their clients, which is what they all really, really want. The right people really want to make a difference. They want that fulfillment of making a difference, and they want to spend more time with the clients, but knowing that the wheels are still turning and the work is getting done. And now it's getting to the point where we turn up to a board meeting with a client, management meeting with a client, and you've got this fantastic report that you've had no involvement in putting together, but now you focus on giving the value on top and analysing and giving the insight from that report. And it's like, if you had a finance department in a business, the FD's not doing any of the heavy lifting. They're the ones making the difficult decisions and giving the insights because the work's done for them. So for me, the right time was when I found that not just me, because I never did a lot of the work from the start, any of the work from the start, but our team were constantly getting better and better, but they were sucked back into doing payroll and doing VAT returns and doing your own accounts that they could do years ago with their eyes shut. So it wasn't good for morale. But then also clients, we weren't getting back to them as quickly. We weren't able to just jump in a taxi and go and see them and to help do stuff in their business because we had too much of this other work to do. And that was like the driving force behind me setting up MAP. The last firm that I was at, we were only going for 5 years at the time, and we had 800 clients. 5 years, it was ridiculous. Like prospects would genuinely walk in from the street. We'd walk in as a lead source because it was big glass windows. We just walk in. It sounds brilliant from a new business perspective, but we had 12 staff, and so the client would come in and think, I really want to get my teeth into them. I really want to give value, and I feel like I've got some skills to be able to do that, and I want to do it. I've got 799 sets of accounts, VAT returns, payrolls, tax returns. I'm completely kidding myself. So when cloud accounting really started to come to the fore, it gave me that opportunity to, although I can't be in my clients' businesses every day, I can be in their accounts every day. So I set up MAP, and again, fast forward 6 years, we've gone from 800 staff, 12 clients, to 140, 800 clients, 12 staff, to 140 clients and 23 staff. So twice as many as staff without a fraction as many clients. So we've actually resourced the business in a way that we can genuinely provide that value and that full finance function. And for almost 24 months consecutive now, we've kept our client numbers the same. So for every client we've won, we've effectively exited one. Because I didn't want to become that firm, hundreds and hundreds of clients where you're making shallow impact. So we've resourced ourselves in the right way with our team here in the UK and offshore to genuinely be able to act like the full finance function from top to bottom with the right people doing the right roles.
Yeah. No, I mean the timing for anyone is all different. So that's really interesting, and the fact that you can turn people away is amazing. I'm sure a lot of you accountants out there will love to be in that position.
We do pass leads on to the proposal community. We do pass them to our firms.
I mean, one thing that we found is with offshoring, one reason why some people do come to us is because they've been trying to get people in the UK, and it's just taken so long that they can't find anyone. We can get qualified accountants who are done 4 years of a degree in accounting, and then maybe also done a CPA, which is like an American type ACCA type thing.
Yeah, that reminds me of another point that we'd become successful. So maybe 2 or 3 years ago, we had maybe a handful of management accounts clients. Now we've got coming up to 50, 60 management accounts, which is great. But our SLA says, and our marketing, we will deliver your management accounts within 7 working days a month end.
Yes.
And we provide a 5 to 10 minute video narrative. So now when it comes to the first week of the month, our team are, all hands full to getting that work done. So we've got team meetings and we've got prospects to meet, and we've got activities that we need to do internally as a team to grow the business. And guess what? We've got people on holidays and people coming and going in terms of joining the business and leaving the business. So that had become a really stressful period. And so what was really appealing to me was having somebody in the Philippines who's 6 a.m. till 3 p.m. every single day, works 100% of their time. Obviously they have breaks, 100% of their time almost on chargeable client work, and they don't get caught up in the other stuff that we need to do to grow the business.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
So I take nobody does a holiday during your reporting period.
They don't get away with it easily. You have to work hard to get that one approved. Yeah. So the next key question was about outsourcing and offshoring, and understanding what the differences are first of all, and why you might consider one over the other. So we went through a journey of outsourcing before I read all about the concept of offshoring, and then we switched across to offshoring. So the way that outsourcing works is that you work with a company and they will have a team of accountants offshore ready to pick up the work that you send over to them. Typically, you'll be using their system that have some sort of portal. You'll upload a job, the job gets passed to somebody, and the job comes back, and you review it, and then you pass on queries to client, pass the report to the client. So you've got this very elastic solution where during busy periods, you could upload more jobs, and less busy periods, you could do more of it in-house if you wanted. So good from an elasticity perspective and being able to do more and less as your business grows. However, what I found, and the reason I got really excited about offshoring, is that the quality of that work was very haphazard. So because we weren't controlling who was doing the job and the quality of that person doing the job, it was very much dependent on which person picked up the job. And so we found that whereas internally we were watching people grow and develop and make mistakes, but then give them feedback and they learn and they get stronger day by day, here it was like we were constantly pressing the reset button and crossing our fingers that the right person did the job to the right standards. And sometimes it was great, sometimes it wasn't so great. Also, I'm very much an advocate of having an asset-based business, and we have built systems that become an asset within our business. And when you build your own systems, you've got something that you can improve upon and work upon, and you can all talk the same language. But then here we have to move outside the system to move into their system to kind of do things their way. So what I really liked about offshoring was that we could have somebody who's just like a member of our team here internally, and they just happen to be offshore.
Yeah.
And we can develop that person to get stronger and stronger week by week. But they can also be client-centric people themselves as well, because we have 3 pods, and our people in the Philippines are assigned to a pod, which means they're assigned to a portfolio of clients, and they work on that same client's work month after month. So they feel like they're getting a better understanding of that client. So we're developing their skills, and they actually feel a part of the business.
Yeah, I think that's important. I mean, one of the tips that we always say for anybody doing offshoring, the first one is make sure you've got a UK team on board. So you have to have the UK team on board. If not, it probably won't work. But the second one is do daily huddles. And the reason for that is that the people feel part of the team. So it's not just the guys in the Philippines in your team there, but it's also the guys in the UK, so that they don't say them in the Philippines. They actually start saying, you know, Glennie or Freddie, they actually, like your team do. I mean, just so you guys know, in the MAP software, I've only been here today, seeing it live, is that they have each face of each person in each pod. So they're all on there, and then you have a daily huddle now as well. So it's, I mean, we have that, we always have virtually. But it's really important for that team building. And you've told a story just about Glennie, who you have actually going extra mile on the ZeroCon.
Yeah. So Glennie is our first member of staff over there. Freddie is the second. So I went to ZeroCon myself, and brilliant last year. I hadn't been for a while, but I went on GoProposal's behalf, but just absorbed it all from MAP's perspective as well, in terms of the content that I learned. And by the time I got back from London on the train, I had an email from Glennie that she sent to the whole team, which was, I've been following the events closely of ZeroCon on Twitter and blogs and things that people had written, and here's an analysis of everything that's been announced, all the key announcements at ZeroCon. And none of our internal team had thought to do that, but Glennie, without any request from me, had just gone out of her way to debrief. So, you know, these are really intelligent people working on your business. This isn't the grunt work that you outsource. We've actually not outsourced bookkeeping yet. As you say, the first thing we went for is one of the most advanced things that we do, which is management accounting. And then it was year-end accounting. But these are highly qualified, highly trained. Glennie has got more experience than any member of our team here in the UK. I think she had 10 years experience when she came to us.
She's doing an MBA at the moment as well.
And she's doing an MBA apparently in her spare time. She just mother.
But
so for me, it was about, as I say, this building blocks approach. And I felt like when we're outsourcing, we constantly just having to knock the blocks down and start again. Whereas now we see Glennie and we see Freddie just developing week after week to being fantastic professionals who actually embody the values of MAP, and the quality of work just gets better and better. Mistakes are fine. Mistakes happen.
Do happen.
But if it's different people doing an account, you can end up with the same mistakes over and over again. Whereas with an individual, as long as they're the right individual, you train them and they start making those mistakes and they get better.
I mean, when you're talking about building as well, I mean, Paul Meads, if you're there, I know I've already spoken to you, it's okay to mention, and he's always happy to speak to anyone as well. But what he did was he did outsourcing. He did all these mistakes, and because he didn't want to talk about offshoring with me, because I sort of know him personally as a friend as well, because he was doing the outsourcing route. But then he decided it wasn't working because he was having to check everything with the guys' work, and then he went offshoring. And now what he did was he went for basically the whole thing version. He interviewed 2 people, which I know you. Oh, by the way, this person has interviewed the most people to get Glennie. He did about 7 people. Normally it doesn't normally take that long, but it was so. But the second time you were a bit quicker, obviously, because you sort of realised the quality of people. But normally, what happens is that when we do the recruitment side, what we do is we do a filtering of loads of people, and then get 2 people to whoever it is to interview. And then what Paul Meads did is he saw both of them
on Zoom, by the way.
Or Zoom or Teams. And then he hired both, basically. Luckily, what happened is they both come from Manila. They're coming back because they want a better quality of life.
So you're not in Manila?
No, we're in Subic Bay, which is, so I'm going off track, but it's an old US Navy base, and it's what's called the Freeport Zone. So what it gets, it's sort of got priority over internet, over infrastructure, over electricity or anything. So if anything's down in the area, that'll be one of the first areas up.
Yeah. There's another important reason though, because I spoke to Paul Meads. When did Paul Meads start this year? When did he get his first person?
It was last year. I can't remember.
Now he's got 5.
He's got 5. I believe he's recruiting someone else as well.
Okay.
But Paul pulls up on that.
So I rang Paul some advice, and what he explained to me was that one of the reasons he chose an IO is because they're in Subic, and yes, the infrastructure, but also about the staff retention and the staff loyalty.
Yeah.
Because often in Manila, it's a big city, so it's the London and Philippines.
You've
got a lot of people coming and going, and also problems commuting in with transport, etc. So it was a lot more volatile. Whereas in Subic, it tended to be people that were more home people and were more loyal, much more likely to stay.
Yeah, so it is. I mean, what we found is that the commute. Just so you know, in Manila, you can be 2 hours one way, so that could be 4 hours traveling. And if you're working the hours that we work, they could potentially work till midnight their time, and that means it's really late and it's dangerous. So you don't have as good a quality of life. Where we are, you're sort of between half an hour to an hour tops sort of travel. So which is better quality of life as well, and the area is quite prestigious. So anybody who's Filipino wants to work in Subic Bay. Yeah, just because of that, because it was a US Navy base. It's on base. They just have this thing about the US being the best.
Yeah, great. So next question about where to look. So if you're going to start this journey, where do you look? And I selfishly used my GoProposal advantage of being able to ask the community, where should I look? And a number of you came back and said that I should speak to Nikolai, which I did, and here we are. But there are other avenues to look. Clearly, some of the websites that many of you will be familiar with, where you can find freelancers, Fiverr.com, Upwork, Freelancer.com, and People Per Hour. They could be great for finding freelancers if that's what you want. That is absolutely not what I wanted to do, because the problem with freelancers is that you do relinquish a lot of control. You don't know what they're up to. They're genuinely working remotely on their own. It can take a long time to figure them out and figure whether they're any good. What I really liked is the idea of a BPO. So those of you not familiar with the terminology, business process outsourcing.
Organization.
Who actually, if you get the right one, provide all the infrastructure to go around that individual, the number of individuals that you employ.
Yeah. I mean, what's important is, because there are other offshoring as well, but what's important if you do go to an offshoring is that the people that you go with actually will help you on that journey. Is because we're accountants centric, especially with Naylor Accountancy, we're always learning and we trying to help everyone else. Yeah. We have a philosophy as well. Like we have core values, so we have 7 core values, which I'm sure one of them is help each other grow. So all of our IO team out there in the Philippines, if there's someone who has an issue and stuff, they can ask any of the team, and if they know how to help them, they will help them. And that's something we really want the whole team to go see. Yes, there might be MAP's team, but if there's someone coming in and they have a problem and Cleany or Freddie know how to help, they'll help. And my Naylor team, they're always there. And I always want my Naylor team to help everybody. So we've even had it where people have been, struggling or even been ill, and we've got my Naylor team just go in and help. Now that's not something we advocate happening, but if I've got the ability, I will help out. But it's a whole IO team mentality.
What I really like is the recruitment. So if I go on Upwork and they tell me that they're experienced, they tell me that they're good, kind of crossing my fingers that they're actually genuine. Whereas with you guys, you're meeting these real people in person, multiple interviews, and you're shortlisting the best qualified, most experienced candidates. So you're reducing massively some of the legwork and some of the risk for me.
Yeah, I mean, our team's amazing out there because we had hiccups to start with, and you still do occasionally, but very rarely. But so we do get good candidates, and people do want to work in that area as well. So we're very blessed. But it's a lot of work for the guys to get the right candidates for the right people as well.
But from what you said earlier, not as hard as it is in the UK.
Oh no, I mean, like, just so I had somebody leave my IO team. Actually, they left just recently. But what happened was we managed to get somebody within a week. 2 weeks they were in the door. It takes a week to do like an FBI bureau check. So then we have to do a check on every employee to make sure that there's nothing dodgy about them.
Yeah.
And then we got them in because obviously Dee is seeing all these people, and they just got somebody in for us very quick.
Yeah.
Whereas it's taken me a whole year
Yeah.
to get someone in the UK, and I had to get rid of someone after 3 months because they couldn't do the job.
And just quickly, this wasn't on the agenda, but it's just come to mind, is that one of the real key things that I identified is just the amount of loyalty that they have there, like, and gratitude for the work, like, far more than many UK staff might do. Where does that come from?
Well, I mean, they do. I mean, they love. I mean, they love working for IO and or any sort of foreign organisation normally because they treat them better. So we treat them better.
Yeah.
You know, the IO team than potentially other Filipino companies. I mean, we've had, what you find is they tend to work 6 days a week in Filipino companies, and they can work overtime. They have to work overtime.
Right.
They have to pay for the overtime, but they have to work it.
Yeah.
And they don't treat them well. So we've had somebody just come in recently, and they were never allowed to speak to the boss. They just weren't allowed to speak to them. Only the manager could speak to them, whatever.
Gosh.
And they were just told to get cups of tea, which isn't a bad thing, get cups of tea, but they were just told, and that was it. That was the only communication they had.
Yeah.
And there's a qualified accountant.
Yeah.
So one of our core is to treat each other with respect and dignity. That's some of the core values. So we make sure that's in there with everybody, and that goes from the management, because even our HR manager, he's very good, but he came from an old Filipino type company, so he's had to change his ways to a different mindset, because they're also all professionals, accountants, but we also constantly try to develop HR things that make people more involved. So Dee and the team have just been putting things together now to try and get people more engaged. So we're trying to get that loyalty even better than it is.
Yeah, so we've sent as much merchandise over that we can get to feel part of the MAP brand with all the branded stuff, and we're just always thinking about how we can make them not feel for the other side of the world. So it's hard making sure that they do feel connected to the business that they work for, and it's not just a job and it's not just tasks. And also in terms of the salary bands, they'd get paid more, wouldn't they, under this, working with a foreign employer?
They do. I mean, we have a matrix system, so we're trying to keep them in there, and we're trying to organise it so that there's sort of a progression. So there will be pay rises for people, but that's to try and keep them interested in it and keep them going as well.
Great. So next slide was that's where it led me. It led me to pick up the phone to Nikolai, and now we have 2, and we're about to get a 3rd person in the Philippines. And something else that we talked about at lunch was having resistant people within your core business.
Yes.
Who are maybe not as passionate about this as you are, and that's important to get right, isn't it? So we're about to employ a 3rd person, because we've not got some of that resistance that we potentially had from some people in the business, and now they've gone, so we're able to take that 3rd person on, and you've had experience like that as well. Yeah,
I mean, even though we have an offshoring company, and I mean, it wasn't big, I only had a few friends using it, but I had somebody who was totally resistant to it. Thought the guys in the Philippines couldn't do anything, they couldn't do accounts, they wouldn't be able to talk to clients. A lot of clients would actually hate us for it and leave us. And we found that as soon as it came to a stage where we're going to have to part either on bad terms or her. So luckily it ended sort of amicably. But what happened is that suddenly it was like a big breath of fresh air, and we could actually move the offshoring, even within Naylor Accountancy, to a different level. So we suddenly had year-end accounts being done, we had more bookkeeping, or the VAT, everything just suddenly doing more in the Philippines, and they were conversing with the clients. I was actually resistant, almost, because she got me really scared, this employee, of actually telling my clients about being in the Philippines. So I did tell the clients, but I was really waiting for a backlash.
Doing it apologetically.
And what I found is everyone just said, no, that's absolutely fine. Because nowadays we have India ringing us. You know, if you ring, or if you run any support, it's in India or even the Philippines. Like for Apple, I think they're in the Philippines. I just had to ring Apple sometimes. You can hear the Filipino accent. So we're used to it now, and the society's used to it. So I think offshoring now with the technology and the fact that we're all used to it in society lends itself to it more. You'll always get a few people that might not be too
Yeah,
keen
yeah.
on it. But
Yeah.
as long as you explain it so you can add more value
Yeah.
to them, because that's the
Yeah.
whole part of it, you can then concentrate your resources and help them more
Yeah,
and get work done quicker.
Yeah, and you've actually got the team members on your website now, haven't you?
Yeah, I've got them all on there.
Yeah.
So we've got. So if you ever want to look at the website, we just need to be developing the Naylor Accountancy, but yeah, they're all on there.
Yeah.
And they talk to clients.
Yeah, amazing. In terms of training, so as I say, we've brought in 2 people under intelligent outsourcing who are both qualified CPAs.
Yeah.
So they come with that badge, that qualification. They have also got many years experience as well. And just to defend myself, part of the reason I interviewed so many people was because I wanted somebody with full, if you remember, it was full accounts experience. So I didn't want them to be too niche. I wanted them to be able to do full financial statements, but qualified, experienced people. And then, therefore, what we really need to teach them was how to follow our systems, our way of doing things, and that's what really excited me. Is that unlike outsourcing, we have someone who would use our systems. And Glennie, amazing. She doesn't just follow our systems; she suggests improvements and makes improvements to our systems. But we're all following one way of doing things. So we didn't have to show her how to do a set of accounts. We had to show her how to do it our way and how to follow our systems and processes, which exist as checklists in Infusionsoft. And then more detailed documentation within Google Drive and videos as well. And Glennie actually sent her first video to us yesterday, showing one of our accounting technicians how to do something. So she recorded, without us asking her, a Loom video of her explaining something quite technical to a member of our staff. So she's actually training us now as well. So they already had the core skills. It was just about showing them our way of doing things, and also key as well is UK legislation. So whether it's Companies House Acts or UK tax, that might be something that they've not got experience in, because often they follow the American route.
Yeah. It's all American, so the whole system out there is Americanized.
Yeah.
So what we are introducing out there is sort of a CPD that we can offer. I think we've spoken to you about it. So just going to roll that out actually this month. But it means that you can do it however long you want, but we sort of say 1 to 2 hours a week, a month.
Yeah.
But of UK centric sort of HMRC VAT, if they're into that, sort of more just more VAT, or the management accounts or HMRC limited company stuff. Yeah. So that gives them that. But what we found is the guys actually Google stuff all the time anyway.
Yeah.
So they know, and they're constantly learning, because these are professionals.
Yeah.
They've done their accountancy.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got your general ledger, you know the accounts. Yeah. So it's just knowing.
That's all I do when I teach our guys anyway. I have to Google it first to find out what
it changes as well, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But then with the guys out, it's just the Philippines, they have VAT out there anyway. So the systems are so similar to ours, but it's like American.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it's just the nuances, isn't it? Teach them the nuances in your way, but it's time well spent, because those people are going to be employees and part of your business. Yeah, it's not going to be lost on a freelancer, on outsourcing.
I mean, just going back on the training, and you use Loom, but we use Sweet Process, and the guys actually write all the stuff now. So because they've been trained, so they write all that and use that. That was all from Paul Means, so thanks Paul Means for that, because he did it with his team. What he did is his team got trained up very quickly. It's because they had Sweet Process already that his team in the UK had done, so they could see it all, and then they're enhancing it as well now and adding to it when it's needed. But because I saw that, I started using it, and it's been really good, because everyone just updates it, and then you only have to go through it. And we video each other, so we use Teams, mainly not Zooms, which is part of Office 365, and. So if we train somebody, if I do, we'll just record it, and then they go away and write it up in Sweet Process. So because I don't want to get involved in that. If I'm trying to get them to do all the work.
Yeah, you do the talk, and then it's done, and then people pass it around. Great. Onboarding. So some tips from experience is make sure that the people that you employ offshore have a line manager. Don't just assume that they're just going to be taken care of and everyone will get a chance to speak to them and everyone will educate and train, and make sure somebody is responsible for the management and development of that offshore person, just like you would any member of his team. Make sure they have a line manager who's clearly responsible for managing and developing that person. Use Zoom to make it more than a phone call, more than an email, and actually put a face to the name and speak to them on video as much as you possibly can. And I have the auto record option set in Zoom, because you never know what you might talk about. It might feel like a casual conversation.
That's really
good, because I don't have to remember. Again, from painful experience, you get off a call and you think, oh, I wish I'd recorded that. This isn't really useful. I'm gonna have to tell somebody again. Whereas the auto record just means if anything valuable came out of the conversation that you would like to store, then it's automatic recording. You can use that to build up your training. And Slack as well. So we use Slack as a communication system, and it's often within Slack that we do the daily, let's just check in what everyone's doing today. And we're a 23-man team now, so we wouldn't have everyone tell everyone that, but we have pods. There's 5 people in a pod, and everyone in that pod every day will know exactly what each of them are working on, and they'll have their own group within Slack where they communicate with one another.
I mean, we use Office 365. So we have. Do you have Office 365?
No, we have Google.
Because you're Google, aren't you? Yeah. So with anyone who has Office 365, Teams and Slack are virtually the same.
Yeah.
And Teams is included in Office 365.
Yeah.
So check it out. It's taken over from business Skype for Business.
Okay.
So it's really good. Yeah. I mean, there's just one issue with it, and that's if you have a lot of, like on Zoom, you see everybody's face.
Yeah.
When you have a meeting. Yeah. On Teams, you only see about 4.
Okay.
And then the people talking come in.
Yeah.
So when we have a big team, our huddle is actually on Zoom, so we can see everybody's face.
Got you,
but if we do sort of anything between the small of the group, then we'll always do Teams.
And then the final key question that we pulled out was, what work should you outsource or offshore, either entirely, or where should you start? So again, everyone will have done this differently and approached it in different ways. Because we've not yet got our staff in the Philippines dealing with clients directly, we didn't want to outsource bookkeeping or payroll, because we know from experience that those are services that require a lot of interaction with clients in terms of requesting information, queries back from the clients, explaining things. So we felt like it was counterintuitive. But what we found is, as I said before, having 50 plus sets of management accounts due within a week, a month end, and actually all the preparation is done behind the scenes without a client. We have a client coordinator internally chasing the information, but then we pass over to Glenn and Freddie to then get through those management accounts and send them back over with a narrative, by the way, explaining all the variances and explaining the numbers, a written narrative, ready for us to just review it, make some tweaks, and record a video, which we then send to client explaining the management reports. So obviously that kept them busy for the first week or 2 of the month, and then the rest of the month we moved into training them how to produce statutory accounts. So they now produce all of our statutory accounts for us in the second half of the month, and we expect to move into self-assessment eventually. So again, those things that make you feel like this, where you've just got all this work piling up, and it might be sometimes simple work, sometimes complex work, but it's just time consuming, and you just want to jump on to giving value to the next client, and it's the thing that just holds you back from doing that. And we wanted to just move that onto someone who had dedicated ample time where they could sit for 7 hours straight with managed year-end accounts. We don't want our team doing that. We want them dealing with clients. So think about, and it's not about complexity, is an important thing, I think. So people think offshore outsourcing, I'll outsource the simple stuff, I'll outsource the bookkeeping. We're outsourced offshore in the most advanced parts of what we do, because it's the time consuming stuff that can happen behind the scenes.
I mean, you can do all of it. That's what we're doing. Paul, Mead's group, and other people are doing the same as well. But what we've had is people doing exactly what you're doing the year-end accounts first. We had somebody do that, which is actually why Paul Meads came with us in the first place in the Meads group, is because they basically had somebody in who was an accountant, not a CPA, but loads of experience behind him, and he did a set of accounts within three hours of actually just being trained.
Because that's the thing, because year-end accounts used to take for ages, because what you're really charging for, you're selling your year-end accounts, but a lot of it was tidying up the client's mess. Whereas now, if you're getting the bookkeeping done, and even getting monthly management accounts done, the year-end accounts just comes out, it's not going to tell me anything I don't already know about this client's performance. It's just a job that needs doing. So to have that on tap has been brilliant.
Bookkeeping is the key, like getting that clean.
All starts and finishes with that. So ready to do Q&A, guys. Feel free to fire your questions in for myself or Nikolai or both into the chat box or the Q&A. I'm not fussy, whichever one you want to put it in, we'll pick that up. some of the common questions before we jump into here, which people will probably ask anyway. Talk to us about the legal implications in terms of terms, conditions, and data and GDPR.
Yeah, I mean, the first thing is everybody needs to be GDPR compliant themselves in the UK.
Yeah.
And that means they need to make sure everything's in the EU.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not a GDPR expert. We have an expert that works for us, and if any of you there are interested in more than what we go through, he's very happy to talk to you. So
can we send his details out?
Yeah, we'll do that. Yeah, we'll do that in the follow-up.
Yeah.
He's happy to do that. He was actually, So on that though, the main thing is you being GDPR compliant. Then what you have to think, the difference between outsourcing and offshoring is that the person is actually working for you. They're using your systems, your server, your cloud-based system. So if it's Xero, QuickBooks is in the EU. Xero isn't. It's in Amazon in the US. But they have EU-US Privacy Shield agreement, which means that it's okay for the EU. They had to go to the Commission, the EU, to get that. And a lot of the US ones are like that. So you will be. But what you need to do is map all that out. You need to have the flow, and you need to make sure you know exactly where all that information is from. If you've got a server here in the UK, which a lot of our guys do, then you're absolutely fine. If you've got remote desktop, you're absolutely fine because that's there. What we do out there is we have a lot of security to make sure that data doesn't go missing or anything, and it's all cleaned up. So what we have is, well, getting into the building, we have people with armed guns, so you can't get in. And even the area, Subic Bay, you have to come through a police control because it's a free court zone. And then coming into the building, actual office, there's fingerprints.
Right.
And then the guys out there, they can't have their mobile phones on the desk, and they have it all in a locker, so they have it in the locker. So when it's break time, they can get them. And then all the USB sticks or all thing. And we're looking at more all the time, the security stack. We're moving everyone to Microsoft 365 from Office 365 because there's more security in there, and it can encrypt everything, the whole PC and stuff. So we're looking at all the time of what we can do. But the main thing is for you as a MAP, which I know you are, is make sure you're GDPR compliant and all your systems are. I would advise everyone to get it documented to some degree. The person that I'll give you is very good, very reasonable as well, because he deals with accountants, and he obviously knows our business as well. So he sort of understands that.
And it's just to be clear, it's okay for your data to be not in the EU, but you need to disclose it to your clients.
The issue isn't that the data is in the EU. That's the whole thing, because the data is the processing is being done in a different place.
So I mean, if your data did happen to be outside the EU with a certain software provider. Yeah,
that's fine. As long as there's an agreement.
Yeah.
So as long as you've got this, like the EU-US Privacy Shield, or whatever, it's okay. But there has to be some agreement, normally with the EU. On that, but I'm not an expert. So I'm not an expert.
And then the bit about, then move on to the next bit, sorry, is the bit about they are actually accessing your data outside of the EU if it's in the Philippines, aren't they? For your staff, so. Yeah, well, they are processing it, so they're not a controller. The controllers, wherever the company, so you, MAP, Naylor Accountancy. So with the controller, the processing is there, and that's okay. There are some terms of engagement that you potentially would need to put in on mainly the payroll, but you should have that anyway within your normal terms of engagement that you're doing with your clients. There's nothing different to what you should have now. So it's just making sure you are GDPR compliant as a UK company, then you'll be fine with us doing that. But we're always looking at it. So to be honest, it's always evolving a little bit. I know it's there since May last year, but it's understanding of it, and that's why I've got an expert involved, because he's actually even going to speak to the guys in ICO, and he's actually seeking solicitors' help on things as well. So because he does with a lot of people, we're getting that information from him, which is really good. And the spoken English, how good is that over in?
I mean, the Philippines itself, the whole education system is English mainly, apart from I think it's sociology and Tagalog. It's in Filipino. Tagalog is the main language there. Even in the parliament is Tagalog and English as the main one. but they do speak Tagalog. It's an American English, but they have an accent as well. Different people speak English in a different level. What we've done in the office is ask them all to speak English. We haven't said they have to, just because I want to make sure that they're all speaking at a different level. Because what's happening, they all speak Tagalog, and I noticed some of my team were out there in English. Was one of the guys especially was getting a bit not as quite as good. So I wanted him to get better. So the only way I could do that is So that's what's happening. But overall, they're really good. But you have variance. So what we do is, if somebody wants a really good English speaker, we will have that as part of our recruitment. And if they've been abroad, so a lot of Filipinos go abroad. They go to Dubai, Emirates, Singapore, wherever to work, and then they come back because of their family. Then they speak normally better English because they've just dealing with English all the time in everything.
Great. Okay, let's get into the Q&A. So I'm just going to stop sharing that, and if I do that. Okay, so Ellen has asked, do you require offshore staff to use and learn all your systems? So I think I've partly covered that before, Eleanor. You might have asked before I covered that slide, but all the systems that are relevant,
only what they need. So if they don't need it, but it's your, I mean, what you think is it's your staff member. So I mean it's IO staff, but they're working as your staff member. So it's everything that you require your staff to do that job, and you'd be the one that's sort of making sure you've got the work papers and they have their work papers. You'd see all that and everything.
David has asked, how do we pay the individual, especially regarding tax, etc.?
It's all through IO UK, so Intelligent Outsourcing UK. So what we have is you'd be contracted with Intelligent Outsourcing UK. That is the company. So you pay a fee which ranges, it depends on the salary of the person and what they want, and what experience that you want. But that ranges from say 1,200 to 1,500 a month. So it all depends on the type of person that you want.
Yeah, so we just receive an invoice every month. It's a fixed amount, apart from a couple of extra bits. We send them a hamper. You guys get your hamper at Christmas and things like that. But it's a fixed monthly invoice, and that covers the Filipino PAYE effectively. It covers the net salary, any PAYE that's due, and then the BPO, so Intelligent Outsourcing in our example, their fee for their service as well.
So what you've got out there, you've got the internet, you've got the PCs. You have two screens, the PC, the desk, everything. It's just all that, and the HR all around it. And that's the HR out there is actually, they have more laws than here on a lot of things, so we have to be quite compliant. We can change somebody within 6 months easily. So that's why we always say, if anyone has an issue within the first, well, preferably within 3 months, but within 6 months we can change.
That's equivalent to our 2-year rule.
So after 6 months, it's not so easy. So we are, what we do is a lot of feedback at the early stage, like weekly, and then it sort of gets a bit less, just to make sure that the client's happy, but also that the individual team member's happy as well, because it has to go both ways.
There's an appraisal system as well. I don't know if it's 12 months or less, but I remember Christine asking for our feedback on our employees, so we pass the feedback over, and then she runs the appraisal with that feedback and her own feedback, and does a two-way appraisal with the employee. And
then what we do now as well is also we have Dee contacting every single month, every single client, our IO client, to make sure that you're happy, say MAP's happy, whoever it is happy, and then give them feedback from the guys on the ground, the team members. The reason for that is, if the team member, we want team members to be honest with us, because it's not always obviously the case that team members are, but if there's things that they want to change or would like to see, we'll try and help them as much as we can as well.
Mark's asked about the working hours, so I can answer that. It's 6 a.m. till 3 p.m. in the UK time, which for them means
it's like 1 till 10.
1 p.m. till 10 p.m.
Well, what happens is that their hours never change, because they're basically on their equator. So it gets dark at 5 o'clock there every single day virtually. It's weird. It just goes out like that. But they will just change their times.
Okay. Mark, what is their remuneration package like, e.g. holidays, sickness, hours, pensions, other benefits? I assume payroll is dealt with by IO. So we've answered some of that. Holidays?
Holiday, they get 17 statutory holidays, and then but that means what we do is we've managed to change them with their government we have to do it every year, but with the ones that aren't the same as ours, and they have some lunar ones, which are the Muslim. They are predominantly 95% Christian, but they have Muslim holidays as well. So because they lunar, we never know when they fall, so it's a bit of a nightmare telling clients, it's next week, because you just don't know. So we've changed them. We've tried to make them all in line. They also get 5 days or 10 days. It depends what they are, because if they're a single mum, they get a little bit more. But what we do is we always run that past everyone. Dee's the best person.
Yeah. Okay, we mentioned about the payroll being dealt with in IO. What's the minimum number in a client-facing team before considering an offshore person?
What was that, sorry?
What's the minimum number in a client-facing team before considering an offshore person? That was from Martin. It's typical accountant's answer. It depends, I suppose. It depends on the nature of the work that you're doing. If I was setting up again and I didn't want to build a UK team, then it'll be from day one. Because I wouldn't have wanted to do any of the work. I wanted to really focus on business development and client relationships. So it was as soon as possible, really. As soon as you've got a year-end accounts, then there's somebody who can do it. But I suppose, just thinking out loud here, the offshoring model tends to be of the ilk of full-time staff, not necessarily. But so I think the answer is when you can provide 40 hours a week worth of work, ideally, if it's going to be a full-time member of staff.
Yeah, no, I'd agree. I mean, we have got a lot of people coming to us now just saying they would like someone 2 or 3 days. We are contemplating whether to do that with people, like putting 2 people together and then they share somebody. My concern there is I used to do it with my friends to start with, so get them involved with IO. And then I let them take the person once they want them full time. So my concern is how you'd share that person when they want them full time.
So by default, when there is enough for a full time role.
But I mean, I only have, there's myself and Steve, 2 people in the UK. And 5 in the Philippines working for Naylor.
Douglas, hi. Are there standard training packages that can be sourced from IO, such as QVO, Zero, Tax Filer?
Well, Zero
have a certification.
They have certification. So does QuickBooks. So we have the Zero and QuickBook guys out there. We have some free agent as well, but and I'm not sure Sage, but I don't think so. So you can do the certification. What we do is always recommend just always do Zero certification straight away. So what we do typically when somebody comes in, we have a half day with that person just to orientate them to IO, the new team member. And then we would sort of recommend, if you're on Zero or QuickBooks, doing their training. We also do this CPD now. So it's not amazing, but it's there, it's online. So what we've got is my practice manager for Naylor Accountancy, he's put together a load of ones for like limited companies that he thinks are good for if they do limited company stuff, VAT, payroll, so that they can actually learn. So they can essentially do that. We are looking at adding more as we go along. But it's down to you normally, and use Teams, Zoom, Skype, or whatever to use that, and Speak Process, Loom, whatever to help that process.
So my view is that you use the certifications as a base. So Zero, Receipt Bank, QVO certifications to give them the base understanding of how to use the product. But then you need to teach your way, which IO are never going to be able to do, because all of us will do Zero bookkeeping slightly different. So you do need to teach them your way. And what this does force you to do is to get really good processes. You want anyway. To get them in place before ideally you take on anybody offshore, so that it can hit the ground running. It's never going to be perfect though. Don't wait until you've got the perfect, brilliant,
bulletproof system. You can even get them to write it.
Exactly, and improve it.
So like you said, if you video it, whilst you're training them, then get them to write it up in SpeakPro or whatever, Loom, whatever. The other thing was, we do actually have receipt banks, like because I got them to do a little training session for me, because we use receipt banks. There are other ones out there. So we offer that to people that come on board as well. So if they want us to do that, we can just give them this online, where it's a recording.
Robert, hello, nice to hear from you. What's the average monthly salary for someone with 2 years experience?
2 years, I mean, you're talking probably $1,200 a month. This is the total, because we have our fees out there as well, obviously. to make sure we can operate.
And that includes your fee.
Yeah, that's inclusive. So 1,200, I'd say maybe 1,300, but
yeah, we're paying a little bit more because we wanted someone with a lot more experience than that. Yeah, and they're doing statutory accounts.
Yeah, with a lot more experience, you're talking like 1,500. I mean, it all depends on the person's experience.
I believe that person would have cost us double that in the UK for that experience at least.
You're talking at least the minimum saving is 50%. That's the minimum.
Yeah.
You can get more saving.
Yeah.
The interesting thing is the higher up you go, the more saving you're going to get, because there is a fee for us to do that, and things out there aren't cheap. Yeah. So rent, internet, all that, like the whole thing of that is really, and computers. I mean, they're more expensive than here. Yeah. The first computer, this is off the side, I took over, I gave to Christine, and she had it in her granny's house, and it was a laptop, and it actually, because of the humidity out there, it went to bits. It just couldn't work. So we need to buy PCs out there so they work in that environment, which is quite, because they are cheaper here.
And the other thing that I mentioned earlier is very high utilization rate as well.
Yeah,
because they're doing chargeable work all the time.
Yeah,
it's actually the savings much bigger from that perspective. Do IO cover holiday cover?
No, we don't. It's just like having your own individual in your own team. So you would. It's not outsourcing or anything. It's an form of outsourcing, but it's not just the work; it's the team. So they're your team member.
Is there a setup fee for each employee?
There is, yeah. So we have a kickstart one. Fee, which is 500 quid, and then it's a recruitment fee once they recruit it. But we charge 500 straight away, just because that's the team more looking for that individual.
So is it 500 setup and 500 recruitment? Is that right?
No, it's about. It depends on the salary of the person and the individual, but it's about £1,000 for the. It all depends on it.
Yeah,
it's about 2 months' salary or something like that.
Yeah,
but it all depends.
Yeah, okay.
But I mean, it's like peanuts compared to what a recruitment person would be here.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
I just have to pay out a lot of money for my PM.
Yeah. You're welcome, Robert. Saying thank you. And that's all of the Q&As answered. But then we have some more stuff in the chat. So I'll have to skip through all the people saying hello, reminding us that they're in Lanzarote and sunny Surrey.
It is sunny here, isn't it?
Yeah, it is now. Are there culture differences? I get really frustrated talking to Indian teams with, say, Vodafone, as they always seem to talk off a script and can never seem very over-polite and patronising, never sure that they understood the question. We can both answer that, but for me, completely different experience. And I've worked with an outsourcing company where it was an Indian outfit and very broken English, and we'd be on calls and we couldn't understand them, and it was really difficult because we obviously wanted to be respectful, and to tell someone, sorry, I can't understand you is really difficult to say. But no, the guys that we've got in Philippines are just very eloquent English. I would dare say better than some of our English staff probably. Just really, really easy, lovely people to deal with. So that's my experience.
Yeah. I mean, we did initially go through, not with some people, this is just from the Naylor team, and there's one individual I'm thinking of specifically that she would say yes to everything, and so that even though she didn't understand it. So the answer to that one is that it can happen, but what we do, as soon as they come in, we tell them don't do that. So, and we drum it into them not to do that. Not everyone's like that anyway out there. It all depends. So they are inquisitive. I've got a guy who keeps, they're always telling me things and new things and asking me questions. So it is more like that. You can understand them as well. They have different levels of English understanding. They also write English amazingly, and like their grammar's better than ours. They're very polite, which I'm sure.
Very grateful is the thing that really stands out for me. Just Glennie regularly sending me emails about how much she's enjoying it, how grateful she is to work with us.
Yeah.
And the other thing is that they call you sir, don't they?
Yeah, and we sort of try and keep that. I know not everyone likes it, but the sir and the mom.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is just so that they know that you are the boss, and that it is a sir, because that's what they would do out there. So we
and you want to feel comfortable. That's what it feels weird for me. It feels uncomfortable for me being called sir, but that's the way that they've been brought up. So you don't want to remove all of their cultural.
No. However, what we do for my team or other teams that actually communicate with the clients is tell them, don't use sir, Don't use mom. Don't put it in the email. And then when you speak to them, don't say that either. So because my clients actually call them, or they call our clients occasionally as well.
What are the cost per staff, and how do the salaries compare to UK salaries? I think we've covered those, guys, hopefully. How do you get staff buy-in when they have to review work rather than doing the work themselves? That must be your UK staff.
That is UK staff. You have to try and get their buy-in. I mean, the big thing is the huddles, and also get them involved with the offshoring. So get them involved with the interviews. So get them involved with interviewing the person.
You do have to have certain type of people though to be able to do this. Like if you want people that just want to hog the work and do all the work themselves, then it is going to be difficult. I hire people and explain to them that part of your progression is just to be continuously making yourself redundant from what you used to do, so that you can be climbing a career ladder, developing yourself, and taking on more and more. Now that for some people, that's not what they want. They want a safe, easy, steady job. But that's not really the environment that we're creating. We're creating a progressive environment where we want people to come here, not just do a job, but to build a career and to develop themselves. So I'm fortunate that I've designed it in such a way that I've got people that are passionate about being self-redundant to take on the next more exciting, more challenging thing and climb the career ladder. And Glennie and Freddie are enabling us to do that because they're taking a lot of that weight off them to enable them to do more and more interesting stuff.
I mean, one of our core values is embrace change, and if you have sort of some core values that have that, then they need to be embracing change, and you can actually say, look, you need to embrace change. And the other thing is try and alleviate their fear of losing their job. That's what I actually had with the person. They were fearing that they were losing the job, but to such an extent that they actually ended up going and not leaving because they were so scared of it themselves. But like Paul said, it's about developing your team in the UK to do new things.
But that's our responsibility as leaders as well. Like, we've got to inspire them that there is something else, and we need to be able to see it. So like just telling them, that you're going to get more interest in working out, what is it? I've not seen anything else. What am I going to do when all these VAT returns, payrolls, yearly accounts, bookkeeping's taken away from me? So you've got to start to create your advisory service offering, whatever you call it, to show them that this is the sort of stuff and get them excited and seeing the sorts of things that they're going to be able to do. But that's our job as leaders to build that product range and service range, and to show your staff what life's going to be like when they're not shackled by all that other stuff that they've been doing for years, and they can do with their eyes closed. It's not challenging anymore. And my bigger fear is not losing people that are scared for the jobs, is losing people that you're not developing because they're doing things that the same stuff month in, month out, year in, year out, and they're not developing. They're the people I'm scared of leaving. So this creates a great platform for those people to flourish. This is a good question from David. Do they job hop at all, especially the qualified team members?
No, we haven't experienced that yet. We haven't operated, but the issue can be, that's why we're trying to develop the matrix and more things to move so that they don't, because we're in Subic Bay, a lot of them tend to have come from Manila potentially, or they've got more experience. So they are looking to settle and have a job. But what we're trying to do is also make sure there's things that keep them with IO. We're doing team building on Monday, basically. It's our bank holiday here. There is their bank holiday as well. We've given them a holiday for it, but they actually going and doing some team building. So the whole part of it is to try and keep them together.
So you're really looking to replicate again, what we keep saying, isn't it? A theme is that just treat them like your UK stuff. You do team building here, you do team building there. How much involvement do we have in the selection process? Good question, Lindsay.
I mean, you basically, what will happen is Dee is the person that you'd speak to, Dee.Smith, and she would get your remit, what you want them to do. She has a great idea. She's worked for Naylor for years, and she's like my right-hand lady. Now she's moving more, all the way onto IO. So she knows what you'll want from that, and so does the team in the Philippines, because they've been doing so much. So then they will recruit. We will then button down to 2 people. You then decide if you want any of those 2 people. If you don't like them, then we'll start. We'll carry on with the process until you like someone. So you decide who you want. They're your team member. And like we were saying before, if you have team members that are going to, in the UK, they're going to be working with this person, you may want them involved in that actual interview as well.
We did that we did do that. So it was in this room actually.
Oh,
So we got shortlisted to 2. I think we did them back to back so we can compare more easily.
yeah.
Or maybe half an hour in between,
Yeah,
so we
we
could
try
have a
and
chat
do
about
that.
it.
Yeah.
And then I was on my computer on a Zoom call. Another member of staff who would be line manager them were on the Zoom call, and then the interviewee as well. But yeah, the shortlisting is and selection is done in advance for you, so you've just got effectively final stage. Just you already know they've got all the technical competencies because you've taken that from the remit to make sure that they fit that, and then it's just about how do they come across. Are they going to be someone who's easy to communicate with and deal with? Yeah.
And just when you start the process, we say 3 months to get the person. It can be quicker, but everybody tends to be at least on a 30-day notice period. So and it also takes we're constantly recruiting anyway, so we have a book, but it's not endless, and people keep getting new. If they're looking for work, they may have got a job anyway. So, but we say 3 months. And
yeah, that's funny that actually. My second story with Freddie was that we weren't quite ready, but I thought it's going to take a while.
yes.
So I sent the remit over.
Yeah.
And before I knew it, we'd offered him a job, and it's like, I'm not ready for him yet. So you were really quick in getting a quality candidate in front of us. And I thought it was going to take a lot longer. So we ended up bringing him in sooner because we'd already promised the job. We didn't want to miss out on him. So we ended up bringing him in sooner. But yeah, the process. So typically you say 3 months.
Well, we say it can be quicker,
I know,
like you say, but if you want it quicker, it's normally unusual. Yeah. But the other thing is, if you do get someone you like, you're best just taking them on board because they will find another job potentially somewhere else in the meantime.
I think we're done. I think that's 12 questions in the Q&A answered, and all the stuff in the live chat. You're welcome, David. And it's nearly 3:15, so kind of apologies for running over, but we wanted to make sure we answer all your questions, so we're here for as long as you need us, really. So if there are any more questions, speak now or forever hold your peace, because we're going to be logging off, and we will put the email together. So within the email that comes out, which will be tomorrow morning, we'll provide your email address, if that's okay, Nikolai, or one of your team, so that people can get in touch if you've got any further questions, if you're interested in speaking to Nikolai and his team at IO. Obviously, I'm in the Facebook community, which many of you are if you've signed up for GoProposal, so I can take questions within there as well. One more question popped up. Will the email have the names of the outsourced companies you showed in the slide earlier? Can do. They're not really outsourced companies, they're just freelance networks that I don't necessarily advocate, so I've not gone to them for any of these skilled jobs. When I'll tend to go to Upwork or Fiverr.com is when we need a quick animation video doing, or a bit of code on our website or something like that, little bits and bobs. I wouldn't go there to recruit a member of staff at all. That slide will also be in the recording, so the recording will come over from today, and you can watch that back to see that slide. Anything else you want to say before we finish?
No. I mean, if anyone wants to have a chat, we're always happy to chat to anybody. There's myself and Dee can talk to anyone. We can also put in touch with other clients. I mean, you obviously Hope from Paul. And there are, so it's the way we try and operate is just to try and help everybody. Our aim is to make sure people are happy and grow teams, and then refer us on, because what we're seeing is people grow. Like, we've got, somebody start with 1, then 6 months 2, and then 4, 5. Or they just stay with 1 because they're not big enough yet to warrant anymore. But we're here to help anyone who requires it.
Great. Okay, guys. Thanks for being with us today.
Thanks.
Cheers, Nikolai.
Bye. Paalam. That's Filipino.